Hey, hey.
Hey.
So, have you filed your returns this year? It's still time. It will take time. I have the weekend in front of me. Okay. What about that course you're enrolled online? Did you complete it? I completed week 1. I don't have time for it right now. I'll do it later. How about the presentation? The one you have to present next week? What about that? Where did you reach there? I started with it. It'll take some time. You must have realized that the person answering the questions was me. But the person asking the questions was also me. And if this internal conflict was not enough, whenever I meet Meghla, she asks me, Jwalant, when is your next speech? With those answers and yes. Today I'm going to tell you about a technique which can help you overcome your procrastination. It can help you solve your problem of procrastination. The technique is based on a simple kitchen-based tomato timer, and it's called a Pomodoro technique, or as the Italians call it, Pomodoro. The technique, I'll get to it later. But why do we need it? We often procrastinate on things, important things that we know we must do, which are important. And we tell ourselves, we keep asking ourselves, when are we going to do it? And we keep telling ourselves, I'll do it. There is some time. Till we drag it till the last day. We do this sometimes because it's boring, it takes a lot of time, it's difficult, or simply it takes a lot of our focus. And even if we somehow manage to drag ourselves out and sit and do that, we find ourselves toggling compulsively between different activities. We find ourselves getting easily distracted by either a buzzing phone, an email alert, or in some cases, a female alert. Eventually, we end up not very far from where we started, achieve very little, and then feeling worse about losing all the time. The Pomodoro technique can help you break this cycle. Pomodoro means tomato in Italian, and that's why it's also called tomato timer. The technique was created by an Italian named Francesco Cirillo. The technique in its original form uses a physical tomato-shaped kitchen timer. It has marks of minutes on it, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You can wind it and set it to a time to start. And like all other timers in the world, it will buzz when it completes the finished time. The application of this technique is very simple. You start with list of tasks that you want to do at that time. It could be things like writing your speech, writing an article for newsletter. It could be things like preparing a documentation or presentation, something that you've been avoiding. Also, something like updating your resume. I know some of you have been avoiding doing that for some time now. So you start with a task, you pick that task, and then you set the timer for 25 minutes. It's important, 25 minutes. You start on that, and then you work on that particular task for 25 minutes. At the end of it, when the timer rings, you take a 5-minute break. While working on it, if you find that you are getting distracted by something, or if you are reminded of something and an urge to switch, just make a small note of it. You need to manage your distractions. That's a part of the technique. Each such interval of 25 minutes is called one Pomodoro. And Francesco suggests that after 4 consecutive Pomodoros, you take a 20 to 30-minute break. The technique sounds deceptively simple, but it's highly effective. Think about it. It gives you a sense of positive reinforcement of having accomplished smaller tasks. And for larger tasks which you found were overwhelming, it has helped you break them into chunks and achieve a part of it which you thought was anyway difficult. It is important in these cases that you manage your distractions and interruptions. That is the important learning here. You don't ignore them or avoid them. You accept them. You acknowledge them. You note them and you move on. This is one of the things that I personally learned that helped me with this technique, is that most of the times the distractions or interruptions that we feel are not extrinsic but intrinsic. Sometimes I even found that the extrinsic interruptions are easier to handle than the intrinsic ones. So for example, if a friend or a co-worker barges in on you while you're doing something, you can politely ask them to defer the chat for some time. You can do that. Not if it's your manager, okay? You don't let them know, you talk with them. So if you are intrigued by what I'm saying so far, what you could do is go back and read a small 30-page booklet written by the creator of this technique. It talks more about the science, or rather the psychology at work behind this technique and how you can adopt it better for your usage. Once you use it over time, you get into a habit of working in this intense 25-minute spurts of time using a very simple timer. Dear Toastmasters, and yes, we all get distracted by little things. We all get distracted by small things, and at the end, things like a buzzing phone. And it happens because of our different reading habits that have changed, our increased use of mobile phone, our attention spans have shrunk, and we end up spending a lot more time getting distracted by things and feeding the instant gratification monkey that is in our minds. So the next time you find yourself procrastinating on something which is important, just remember, all it needs is 25 minutes of your focused attention and a Pomodoro timer to get you going. What do you do?